Regards in Croatia. My name is Orest. I am Ukrainian and usually reporting on war in Ukraine. However, now I am doing some representation work of our country on the international scale and currently participate in the Digital Nomad event in Croatia. What's interesting, Croatia is a Slavic country, so I'm actually able to get along here with local people simply by talking Ukrainian language, because there are many similarities out of all Slavic languages. Here I met a very interesting person, Caeyric. It appeared to be that Caeyric understands Ukrainian even though he was learning Russian, because there are actually some similarities. So let's have like a fruitful discussion and try to figure out how similar or how different are Russian and Ukrainian language. Maybe we're gonna also touch some other Slavic languages which will put a wider perspective about this family of Slavic languages, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So as I noticed, you are fluent in Russian.
Yeah.
How did you learn it?
Okay, I learned it a long time ago, almost 20 years ago. I learned it in university. And then, to be honest, I forgot it a little bit, but then while traveling around the world, I just met Russian speakers from, let's say, Belarus or from the Ukraine or from Russia, and also Kazakhstan, and also, let's say, Armenia, Georgia, where let's say, sometimes people couldn't speak English, but then I was thinking, oh, we have Russian as a common language. So this is a little bit how, my experience with Russian.
You are a polyglot. So apart from Russian and your native French and English that we are using now, you know quite a few other languages. What are those?
Yeah, okay, so I'm actually native in Dutch and French. I also speak like most Latin languages, so like I speak Portuguese, Italian, a little bit of Catalan. I also speak most Germanic languages, so I speak a bit of Danish and Swedish. I speak very good German, Swiss German, Luxembourgish. Then I also speak Slavic languages. I speak Bulgarian and Russian, and I understand some Ukrainian and some Polish as well. I also speak Turkish and other languages. Oh my God. And I've learned many more languages, but then it's just because I'm a language learning nomad. I travel the world while learning the languages.
That's pretty impressive. So let's like narrow down the Slavic languages.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes? And
okay,
as you told, you know Russian and you know Bulgarian.
Exactly.
Actually, out of Slavic languages, those two are the most common between themselves. Or
really?
Relatively common.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to to show the map of languages of Slavics, how they are common between each other. So, but I'm still I'm impressed that you understand Ukrainian, because what I noticed before is that when foreigners start either of those languages, they don't understand another, because it's still it's considered to be like a new language. However, you manage to understand those, and here should be the question, in your opinion, how similar or how different are Russian and Ukrainian? This is a very crucial topic, because the entire language question is very sensitive in Ukraine, and this is considered to be one of the reasons why the war in Ukraine started, by Putin declaration to liberate Russian-speaking population of Ukraine. So how would you separate or unite those languages?
Okay, well, first of all, I would always unite people, but I have to say Ukrainian is definitely a different language. Like, откуда ты, свитки, мову, язык, rozmовляешь, говоришь. Okay, there's so many more examples, and I definitely think from a vocabulary point of view, yes, it's a Slavic language, but it is different. For example, I traveled with my friend from Vladivostok in Georgia, and so we had also a Ukrainian friend, and then we were just communicating together, and let's say she could actually not really understand it. Of course, if you're not speaking a Slavic language, it will be even harder. But I definitely think that, let's say if you're a Russian speaker and you have no exposure to Ukrainian, I think that you will understand some words and so on. But I don't think you will. You still really need to learn it and get used to it, for sure.
That was very clear explanation. So the way things work is that usually Russian people living in Russia, as a rule, don't understand Ukrainian. However, me, as being a native Ukrainian speaker, my mother tongue, I'm born in Lviv, I understand Russian language 100% because, as you told, I was exposed to Russian language in culture and media and so on.
Radio, television.
Yeah. Even though when I talk Russian, I talk with the accent, and because most people in Ukraine speak Russian fluently. For example, many people in the east of Ukraine are native speakers of Russian. So there's an interesting stuff. When I travel and I meet somebody from Russia, even before the war, and I start talking Russian to them so we can understand each other, they don't believe that I'm from Ukraine.
Really?
Because in their picture of you, every Ukrainian is fluent in Russian, and when I talk Russian, I have the a clear accent, which makes people wonder that I might be like a foreigner who learned Russian very well. That's the way it works, but it's true that there are many native speakers of Russian language in Ukraine, and for example, for them, Polish language, which is the Western Slavic language, is much more harder to pick up than for me. I am from the West,
absolutely,
and I'm fluent in Polish. So how would you define a relation between Polish and Ukrainian, for example?
Okay, super interesting. So again, I'm not a linguist on this, but I have the feeling as an outsider that from the grammar point of view, Russian helps me. But for the vocabulary, I have the feeling that a lot is if you know Polish as well, it really helps. Many podobaється, дякую, a lot of vocabulary. I would say that it's closer to Polish.
You told you've been traveling in Ukraine.
Yes!
When was it? What did you see there?
So I've been there, and oh my gosh, I loved it so much. So I was in Lviv, I was in Kiev, and I was in Odessa. And actually, just to go back to before why I understand the language, well, I was listening to it, and when I didn't know the language yet, I just fell in love with the melody, and then I don't know, when you love something, little by little, it gets there. But I was in all these cities. They're all very different. So what I loved is borscht. Oh my God. Oh, yummy. I really loved it so much. And also what I really liked is in Odessa, for example. It's such an international city. So the first time when I was younger, when I went there, I was really surprised. There was Jewish communities, lots of people from everywhere, physically people who look like in all ways, and I don't know, it was such a great experience. And then going to the theater, and oh my God. And then for me, Odessa was it's just an experience in itself, near the beach, and I don't know, film festivals, beautiful people and such nice things. And then Lviv is as a city, I think, wow. I mean, I haven't visited all cities, but definitely a very beautiful city, very European style, also a bit Polish style, I would say. And Kiev, for me, is a bit more like this big city. I would say, it's one of the more, let's say, more beautiful, but more with a little bit of Soviet taste in it, but beautiful, Soviet tasted cities.
I cannot stay away from the topic of war. You look so positive, and it's really cool. But my job is to spread the message and to make people aware of things. So you've been to Ukraine before. You are the world traveler. You have your opinion about the war. What can you tell about the war which is now happening in Ukraine?
I'm against every imaginable war. I just want to have a little note. I travel the world, and I know that there are 150 or 200 conflicts on a base every year. My government, US government, they get filthy rich actually by supporting war. For example, in Yemen there's a raging war, or governments, Western governments sell weapons to Saudi Arabia. So that is, I just have no words for that. I think that's unacceptable, and I hope that we as people will push our governments to, for example, not sell weapons. Now, if you go to the Ukraine, Russia is a huge country. They have nuclear weapons. It's insane. They both eat borscht. So, but I also know lots of Russian people who live in Russia, and I don't know even one person who is educated and who understands, because also there's lots of manipulations, as we all understand. But this is really just insane.
You're told there are many currently conflicts happening at the same time, and actually, this is the period, guys, when it's kind of becoming crazy around the world, and Ukrainian war is definitely the most exposed.
Yes.
Everybody's talking about this.
Totally.
The headlines for over than 2 months are only always on the first time about Ukraine. Why do you think Ukrainian war is #1 topic all around the world at the moment, even though there are so many wars around?
Okay, well, first of all, the media decides what they highlight, and again, I'm with Ukrainian people. That said, I'm also with people from Yemen and all like other places. But one of the reasons why, let's say, perhaps they do that is, of course, Russia is a huge country, nuclear weapons. It also, I think, has a direct impact on Europeans, on North Americans, with like prices going up, the gas, or like, you know, all. So yeah, I think that has, and then also Ukraine is a rich country, coming closer to the EU. For example, at the time we needed visas to go to the Ukraine. Ukrainians needed visas to go to the EU. That's not the case anymore. Also not before the war, and so coming closer. Yeah.
There are many reasons. Like I could add, like this is the large scale. Population of Ukraine and Russia together is almost 200 million people, so it's a really like huge conflict. We have a threat of the nuclear war. Also the geography matters, like this is very close to Europe, and so on. And regarding your personal experience when you've been to Ukraine, so when Russia invaded Ukraine, one of the justifications for that is to liberate Russian-speaking population in Ukraine. But as I understood, when you traveled in Ukraine, like which language do you use to communicate with people? Which one? Like you used Russian, as I believe.
Yes. So, but I always, so it depends where I was, of course. For example, in Odessa, it was more Russian. But when I was in Lviv, then people would speak, I mean, in Ukrainian to me, and I would try a few words and then answer in Russian. And there was normally not a problem. I have to say that one of the times when I was, for example, in Lviv, you had also at that time refugees coming from eastern Ukraine,
from
who were
Donbass,
Russian speakers, and they came there. So that's why, at least it was not a problem, actually.
So it appears to be that people who were still kind of like sharing part of Russian culture and potentially tolerating like Russian influence are the one who suffer the most, right? And like I have a couple of friends and like their world completely flipped because like they don't understand what is happening. Many of them even now they start to convert to Ukrainian language because they don't want to have anything in common with Russia, even though before they were like, you know, doing the YouTube channel in Russian language and conducting all their activity in Russian language. And now like that's like completely gone. So that's like something really crazy and one of the dark pages of the war that still we're gonna have to process and investigate. Yeah.
And also like, let's say Russia, Ukraine, it's still like you have a common history. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's insane.
You see, guys, so there is a lion's portion of Ukrainians who are native Russian speakers and they were getting along absolutely fine within Ukraine. And I have like just one video about the residents of Kharkiv and Odessa, like purely Russian-speaking cities who had to leave their towns because of the war, and they are talking that they didn't really need to be liberated. So feel free to watch this video. This will give you another perspective about events in Ukraine. And now, just to round up our conversation, I'm really grateful that you shared this experience.
Thank you.
It's super impressive how you are like educated and how many languages do you speak. So I believe maybe part of your life profession is related to learning languages.
Yes.
Like, so do you write about this where people can get to know more about what are you doing?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, longer more. I have a YouTube channel that I started where I share things about language learning and love for languages as a language learning nomad. I write books, I do brand protection, I promote language learning for everyone. And don't worry, you don't need to be the best. I also forget languages, I make mistakes. It's really about connecting and to getting to know each other, and yeah, to also to not have war, of course, and that is why to come closer instead of like getting distances between us.
Okay, guys, so all the links will be provided down below. I'm super grateful for this nice conversation. Yes, and if you're interested in languages, feel free to catch up with our hero, and I wish you good luck, stay safe, and learn more languages. In Ukraine we tell, as many languages you know, that many times you're a human. So please, guys, stay human. Good luck.